Hey, welcome back to Leader Connect. This is, I think, session 3, and we've been off to just a great start. Our first 2 weeks, we're getting ready for the third week of Connect groups, and it'll be the second sermon-based outline that we're going to be following. So it's exciting. You guys are doing an incredible job. We really couldn't do this without you. Like I said last week, I think we're in the 70% range of people in our church connecting in groups. So we're well on our way. I'd love to be in the 80 to 90% range here at some point. So let me, without further ado, let me get to our agenda for today. First off, Leslie emailed you guys attendance sheets. Now, this is just a tool for you to use. Bottom line, at the end of the day, we just want to know, who showed up in your group from week to week, and it may fluctuate. Someone may be gone, someone new may come, all that stuff. But each week, we'd like to know who. If you want to print off a hard copy or pick up a hard copy from the office, where you can just kind of mark down with an X next to the name, and if that's easy for you, or write in a name, if that's easy and you want to turn that in, you can do that. You could also just fill out the attendance sheet right on your computer with, I think Leslie sent it in an Excel format, so you could just kind of mark in an X next to a name or fill in a name that's not there, and then you can email that back to Leslie. Another way is you could just old-fashioned email. You could skip the whole sheet altogether and just email us, email Leslie your list of names that attended in that particular week. You can call the office and tell her who was there. You could text. You can snail mail, anything. But what we're wanting as easy as possible for you. But what we're wanting each week is an attendance, a record of who's there and who's not. Again, the reason being is not to be all legalistic and all that. Number one, the heart behind it, we want to know who's getting connected and who's not. The bottom line vision for this whole thing, if we had to narrow it down, is we want every person in our church to have a best friend that they're connected to. And so that's the vision, and that's part of why we want to do attendance sheets. The other reason is we want to know, is this working? We're putting all this work, all this effort, all this vision casting in, and are people actually showing up? We want to know if it's working, and one way is to be able to track that. So thank you for your help in that. I know it's one little tedious thing, but if you could help us each week, whether it's the night of or the day after, but as soon as possible when your group's done, to get us your attendance, that would be awesome. The next thing is, I'd like you guys, this will be your third time being together for most of you, and I'd like you to reiterate the 3-week out clause. Basically what that means is that people that have been attending your group, that we're just kind of telling everybody, try it out for 3 weeks. If you don't like it, then you can just drop it. You don't have to come back to the group, no questions asked. Now, for us as a leader, that may, feel kind of funny. It may, sometimes, we get that rejection, or, there's a little bit of emotion attached to it when someone chooses to not show up to our group and all that. But if we can push aside all of that stuff, really what we're saying is we want people to connect in the group that they feel the most comfortable with. And it could be like a million different reasons why they don't connect well in a particular group. Who knows why? But if the goal is for people to become best friends, then they need to be with people that they gel with the most. And so there's that. That's why we're doing the 3-week out clause. So this would be the third week. So if you could remind everybody, hey, this is the third week. The 3-week out clause is that if you're not gelling and you would like to either pick a different group or just drop it all together, all you have to do is not show up next week. So that's all you need to tell them. Just don't show up for the 4th week. Now, if whoever shows up for week 4, and I'll explain this more next week, but whoever shows up for week 4, this is when we'd like everybody to sign those covenant sheets, because now by showing up week 4, they're saying we're in this for the next 7 weeks. We want to do this together. We want to covenant together for the next 7 weeks, and so we'll explain more about that. But that'll happen in week 4. One more, just kind of housekeeping. Especially since this is brand new, but you're going to find every single Connect Group session in the first 2-3 weeks or so. To get these groups off the ground is going to take just a lot of personal contact. And I know you guys all have full-time jobs and families and commitments and all this type of stuff, and Connect Groups and Spirit of Life Church only represent a fraction of your time. But you probably have 10 to 15 people on your list, some less, some more, and there's all kinds of ways you can split that list up with your spouse. You could split that list up between a couple of other people in your group. Maybe you have a co-leader, or maybe you have a couple people in your group that are good on the phone. But just that personal contact. Now, you don't have to contact everybody every week, but especially in the beginning weeks, maybe there's people that haven't showed up to your group that really need to be there. And you know in your heart that this group would benefit them. And so I would get on the phone, or have someone else get on the phone and let them hear a live voice. Walk up to them at church in person, invite them, because I know that they need your group, and you know that they need your group. And along with this personal contact, something that Pastor Greg has always said to me, he's like, you may have X amount of people show up in your group, but you really know that the Lord's put on your heart 3, 4, 5 other people that aren't there. And he says, so in your mind, think of your group, including those 3 or 4 people, but view them almost like outreach people. And so instead of forgetting about those people that aren't there, what he likes to do is he starts to pastor those people as if they're part of the group, with the intention that maybe one of these days they're going to sign up, they're going to show up, and then they become part of the group. Now, yeah, you know what it's like. I mean, if you get a brick wall, if you don't get calls back, if it's pretty clear that someone doesn't want anything to do with you or anything to do with your group, you can walk away. I like what Pastor Greg talks about. He uses the example in the area of evangelism, but red light, yellow light, green light, and just with your kind of discernometer, if you're feeling you're getting a red light from people, then just then move on. That's a pretty good sign. Just move on. If there's a yellow light, that means proceed with caution, and just kind of offer it, but don't be too pushy. But if there's a green light, man, then invite them to your group and keep calling. And, it may be a variety of reasons why they haven't been able to show up yet, but I know they're supposed to be part of your group. So, where we're headed this week in our sermon, again, we're in the sermon series called Face to Face. Pastor did John's story last week, and it was just an incredible sermon just about the Apostle John and his lifetime encounters with Jesus. And where I'm going to head this week, I'm going to preach this Sunday, and I'm going to talk about Mary's story, Mary, the mother of Jesus. And obviously she's had many encounters with Jesus, and she had him growing up in her home, so she saw him at all stages of life, and she probably had the first encounter, and we're going to talk about that. But we're going to really zero in on John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. It's the story of when Jesus turned the water to wine. And there's a phrase in there that we're going to really zero in on, and we're going to really talk about when Mary says, whatever he says to do, just do it. And she was talking to the servants and all that. Whatever he says to do, just do it. And so the theme in the area of face-to-face encounters, we're going to talk about the topic of obedience. And what does obedience have to do? How is obedience key to our ongoing, everyday, daily encounters with the Lord, with Jesus, with Holy Spirit? And so the 3 things I'm going to talk about obedience as a prerequisite. And I'm going to tell you why I think that obedience needs to be a huge part of our relationship with Jesus. In fact, that not only does it need to be, but without it, we really can't have relationship with him. And then I'm going to talk about how obedience is measurable, and that you could actually measure how we have obeyed Him. And we'll talk about that. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how obedience is the key to breakthrough, to increase, and to encounter. And I want to show you scripturally where I think that's true. And so those will be the three areas you'll talk in with your group, and you'll get a study guide and all that, and you'll be able to go deeper, hopefully take it farther and deeper than I could ever take it in 30, 45 minutes on a Sunday morning. And so that's that. Hey, leadership tip of the week. Just a tip. Sometimes it's hard to keep your meeting on track, and there's a balance here. But what we've talked about is kind of 3 segments of your time. An hour and a half time, 90 minutes, 30 minutes of sharing, 30 minutes of discussion around the Word, and in this case, the sermon-based group, the sermon-based study, and then 30 minutes of prayer pulling on heaven. Now, you may find that one of those segments is shorter or longer, depending on your group and all that. But really, we're looking at those 3 main sections. There may be 15 minutes ahead of time where you're ready, where people can come early and socialize, and maybe people stay 15 or 30 minutes after. But that hour and a half, that's really kind of that crucial time to capitalize on. And so keeping your meeting on track, one, I would just say, whatever's happened up to this point, don't worry about it. We're just getting started. The main part, in fact, the main section I would focus on is the sharing, is the getting to know you. Because if you want to go deep in your group, in the area of vulnerability, in the area of the presence of God impacting your group in prayer and laying on hands, or however your group wants to function, if you really want to go deep together, you've got to develop trust, and you've got to develop the relationship. And so those questions, when we emailed you out, I think there was like 10 getting to know me questions. If you haven't gone through all of those, continue to go through those. It's okay, even into week 3 and 4, you're still getting to know each other. Also, it may be that not everybody in your group gets to share on every question. And so I may... 1 week ask a question and 3, 4, 5, 6 people share. The next week I may ask the same question and have the other people share that didn't get a share. And so sometimes I feel it's important enough in getting to know everybody that every single person gets to share on that question or on that topic. But I'm going to play that by ear. I'm going to feel it out, and it's going to ebb and flow. And so in these first 2, 3, 4 weeks, really focus, and it might even take the whole first 10 weeks, because we're really looking long term, that these are going to be long-term relationships that we're building. But with all of this, it may take a little bit for people to feel comfortable to open up and share, but that's the goal. And so the more questions you ask around, their background, their history, the things that make them laugh, the things that make them sad, the testimonies, their journey to Christ. We used a question last week about their favorite vacation. All of those types of things are going to just kind of break that group wide open and cause vulnerability to happen. And then when you discuss the Word, you're going to be able to go a little bit deeper together, and a lot of your share questions down the road are going to come out of the subject that you're talking about around the Word. How does this passage impact you practically on a day-to-day basis? How does that concept the pastor talked about on Sunday walk out with your family and with your kids and in your workplace? And so some of those share questions are going to be able to happen around the Word, but in this first few weeks, don't be too much in a hurry to skip on past those initial share questions, because that'll lay the foundation of vulnerability that you need to have in your group. So I hope that helps. That's all for today. If you have problems that are arising up in your group and you want to talk, feel free to call me, text me, email me, however it is best to get a hold of me. All your attendance stuff, make sure you get that to Leslie. And you guys are doing a great job. We'll see you for the next Leader Connect next week. Bye-bye.